one song by this dude named Mark Crowder, and it's called Faith Over Fear. And funny enough, that's the topic for today's video, because today I'm going to be talking about how faith is the opposite of fear. Now, before we completely dive into that, I want to talk to you a little bit about faith first. A kind of broad definition of faith is believing and speaking, but I like to think of it more as believing and then putting action behind your belief. To back that up, it says in the Bible in Hebrews 11:1, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Now, faith is a big part of Christianity because as Christians, we should have a desire to do big things for God. But to do big things for God, we need to have faith, not only to do those big things, but to receive the resources and things necessary to do those things. The devil does not want you to do big things for God, because once you do big things for God, more people get saved and get closer to God. Even you get closer to God, and he does not want that to happen. So one thing he'll do is he'll try to plant fear in your heart and in your minds, because he knows that fear will counteract with your faith. You cannot have fear and faith at the same time. It's just facts. But folks, there is some good news, because I have 3 quick and simple points to help you rid yourself of that fear. Point number 1 is don't fear. And I know you're thinking, like, really? How is that supposed to help me not fear? Tell me not to fear. Well, you can choose not to fear. You can literally resist those fearful thoughts that come against you. Whenever the devil attacks you, you can literally say to him, "Not today, Satan," and he will listen. It says in the Bible, resist the devil and he will flee from you. But even when you're having faith, your circumstances can get worse, causing you to doubt. But that brings me to point number 2, which is Jesus is greater than your circumstances. Even when your circumstances get worse, Jesus can still work in your situation and he can still move through your faith. I don't know if you read the Bible, but this book says Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. The size of your circumstance does not affect the ability for Jesus to work in your situation. When your situation gets worse, that doesn't mean that God has less power to move through your life. God is still the same no matter what your situation is, or no matter what circumstance you may be going through. A part of that faith, which is believing and speaking, is not just speaking anything, but speaking the word. And that brings me to point number 3, which is God works through the word inside of you. Speaking the word is absolutely one way to get God's attention. I don't know if you know this, but God absolutely loves when you speak the word over your life. Not only does God love it, but speaking the word has power behind it, because it says in the Bible that there's power in the words you speak. If you really struggle with fear, you could also speak against fear in your life with the word of God. Fear can be a heavy struggle. I know from experience. But you know what else can be a heavy struggle? Unfulfillment. If you're feeling unfulfilled in Christianity and you want to learn more about being fulfilled in Christianity, you should check out that video on the screen right over there.